Welcome to Multimeter Safety. Electrical multimeters have the capability to do a wide variety of electrical measurements: voltage, current, resistance, capacitance. Some can measure frequency and wattage. Let's take a look at this Fluke brand multimeter. Some items we should identify are the tips, the probes, leads, plugs, input jacks or terminals, selector switch, and display screen. Don't forget to read your owner's manual to become familiar with all the buttons, gauges, and ratings. Most multimeters have symbols for each selector switch position measurement: voltage AC and frequency, voltage DC, millivolts DC, resistance and capacitance, diode test, continuity with audible signal, milliamps for both AC and DC, and amps for both AC and DC. Notice that for measuring current, this meter has two input jacks for amps. The black lead will remain in the COM input jack, and the red lead will go in the red current jack. If the amount of current you will test is unknown, you should first test in the 10 amp jack, and if the amperage is below 400 milliamps, you can move the plug to the milliamp jack for better accuracy. All other measurements will be taken with the leads in the two input jacks on the left of the meter. Multimeters will have an overvoltage installation category rating, otherwise known as the CAT rating. They will also be labeled with a voltage rating. The rating are usually located near the input terminals and on the back of the meter. These ratings are used to determine the correct multimeter required when measuring electrical equipment in specific situations or configurations. A Cat 1 rating is for protected electronic equipment, such as this photocopier. A Cat 2 is for single-phase cord-connected loads, such as household appliances and portable tools. A Cat 3 is for single-phase and three-phase feeders and branch circuits. Cat 4 for utility connection points, where the highest potential overvoltage incidents may occur. If you noticed, the meter shown previously was Cat 3 1000 volt and Cat 4 600 volt rated. So although this meter says it's rated 1000 volts, you should not measure anything over 600 volts when in a Category 4 environment. Remember to always use a meter rated for the highest category it could be used in, and select the voltage rating to match or exceed those situations. If you are working in the electrical industry, your meter should have a minimum Cat 3 600 volt rating. Before performing any task with your multimeter, do the following. Unplug test probes from the multimeter's input jacks. Verify there is no physical damage by running your test leads between your fingers as you visually inspect them. Feel for any signs of damaged insulation. Damaged probes cannot be repaired. They must be replaced. Never use damaged probes. Inspect your test probes for Cat and voltage ratings that match your meter, and for the double insulated symbol. When inserting into the input jacks, the connection should feel firm and secure. You can test your leads by putting your meter in the ohms function. You can also use the audible continuity. Sounds like these leads are good. After the visual inspection of your leads is done, check to make sure your multimeter is working properly. Never just assume that it is. Visually inspect your meter. Look for signs of physical damage. A minor defect in your meter can create a deadly scenario. Check your meter's fuses before testing. do this, simply turn the ohms function and with the red lead inserted in the red jack, insert the red tip into the amps jack. If the fuse is blown, the meter will read an open circuit that will show on the display as OL. Our most common measurement will be AC voltage. Be sure you have the selector switch in the AC position. If measuring DC voltage, have the selector in the DC voltage position. Remember to connect using correct polarity. The black COM input jack is your negative, and the red is your positive. When in either the ohms position or the diode test position, make sure all power has been disconnected before testing. Missing this step could cause electric shock, injury, or damage the meter. When measuring AC or DC current and to avoid personal injury or damage, use the proper terminals, switch position, and range for your measurements. Remember that when testing current, your meter needs to be in series with the load. And importantly, that when the probes are in the current terminals, the ammeter resistance is virtually zero. For this reason, never place the probes in parallel with your load when the leads are plugged into the current terminals. This will cause a dangerous short circuit. When finished using your meter, carefully store your leads in a safe manner and store your meter in a dry, cool place where it won't get damaged. By following these guidelines, your meter should last your lifetime as an electrician and keep you safe.